class, I'm Miss Aker. I'm so excited to see you out there ready to learn with me today. For our Brain Smart Start, we're gonna be pretending that we're birds flying through the sky. We're gonna start with some small bird flaps, okay? So get your arms like this. Okay, get them flapping. Okay, let's inhale and exhale, flap. Okay, okay, what do you see out there as you're flying? It's so much fun. Now let's extend our arms out and let's do some bigger flaps. Ready? Breathe in. And breathe out. Wow, we're really breathing. Can you do it fast? Can you do it slow? Wow. What do you see in the sky or down below? What do you see down there? I see trees. Let's do it fast again. There's a gush of wind coming. Shh, shh. Okay, now let's pretend we're soaring through the air. We're doing all of our cool bird flapping wing tricks. Okay, let's do really big. Let your breath out. One more time, breathe in. And out. And let's land down on a tree branch. Ready? Great job pretending to be a bird today. I am really excited to share our story with you in the Reading Corner. Welcome to Reading Corner. We are still celebrating Women's History Month, and today we're going to be learning about an environmentalist. That's someone who cares about and studies the environment. Her name is Rachel Carson. This book is called Spring After Spring: How Rachel Carson Inspired the Environmental Movement. Let's find out more about her. This is a quote from her. It says, "In nature, nothing exists alone." I think that means that we're all connected more than we think sometimes. So we have to kind of look at the pictures here. It's early morning, and then it's cheerily. It was dawn when the chorus began. Cheerily, Drew, Drew, cheer up. Phoebe, Jerry, Chili, witchity, witchity. All these birds are making these noises, and look at Rachel. She's like, I love those noises. Rachel didn't want to miss a note. Peel, peel, caw, hello, cheer, cheer, cheerily, true, coo, coo, hoo, hoo, tickettle, buzz, caw, caw. As the midday warmed the earth, other musicians chimed in. Life and music were all around. Chirp, chirp, cheat it, buzz. Wait, 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 beep, 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 buzz, chip. And wonders big and small. You can see the trees and the animals. She's looking with a magnifying glass. Spring was Rachel's favorite time of year. As the sun set, she could hear the first bubbles of frog song. Crickets began their nighttime tune and bats squeaked a lullaby. At home, there was a warm supper and a big family. Mom played the piano and Dad sang songs and read stories. Rachel's favorites were those about the sea. As the days grew longer and warmer, the chattering, chirping, and hooting got louder, until the gathering calls from migrating birds meant that it was autumn. They were coming together for their long journey through the ocean of air to their wintering homes. Honk, honk, honk. But not everyone left. You can see they're in their caves and their winter dwellings. Snuggled under a warm blanket, Rachel drew pictures and wrote about the life she experienced all year. She read books about animals and imagined what their lives were like. Spring after spring, year after year, the birds arrived. Every season, Rachel watched, listened, and wrote, and like the nestlings, she grew quickly. Then one autumn, it was time for her to go off to college. She was sure she wanted to be a writer, until she looked through a microscope and saw a small world in a drop of water. Tiny sea plants and animals. Rachel was amazed and in love. She wanted to know more about the very small world made visible by a microscope. She had never been to the ocean and was scared to go in the water. To learn about the creatures in tidal pools, marshes, and the sea, Rachel decided that she would study biology. She put her writing aside. After she finished school, Rachel worked as a scientist and compiled information about the ocean. That reminds me of another person we learned about, Eugenie Clark, who also was studying in the ocean. Now for Rachel's job, she wanted to know what it was like to actually be underwater. She was still scared, but she went anyway. And it says here, in the fish world, many things are told by sound waves. Rachel began to write books about the sea. They were full of scientific detail and vivid descriptions of the lives of sea creatures that people could imagine those worlds. Rachel became a famous author. But there was something wrong. All around her, nature's voices were going quiet. So Rachel did what she does best. She closed her eyes. She watched closely and listened carefully and learned as much as she could about what was happening. Rachel put together scattered facts and found the answer. This is what scientists do. They try to solve problems and they try to understand the world. She's using all the information she has to try to understand what's going on with the animals. People wanted to kill bugs that ate their plants, bothered them, and sometimes even made them sick. Have you ever been bitten by a mosquito? Those are pesky little bugs. Chemists created new poisons to solve the insect problem that seemed to work and seemed to be harmless to other creatures and humans. These poisonous chemicals were quickly used everywhere in huge amounts because people thought they were safe. But Rachel found evidence that the poisons were not safe. And this shows how it gets into the different creatures because we're all connected, and that if they're eating poison, it's eventually going to affect even us as humans because we're part of the food chain. Rachel wrote a book to tell people what she learned. Silent Spring created a huge ruckus. Some people were inspired to change, but many didn't believe Rachel. Eventually, President Kennedy took notice and began an investigation to find out what was true. Rachel was asked to come to Washington, D.C. and to defend her book. She was scared, but she went. Rachel's testimony in Washington and her writing in Silent Spring made people see that they have an effect on the environment and the other creatures that they share the world with. People were inspired to speak up. Congress passed new laws so that nature was treated with more care, and some of the more harmful chemicals were banned. Spring after spring, year after year, people celebrated the earth and the environment because Rachel showed them how beautiful and precious it is. But Rachel went home and continued watching and listening. In the morning, she went out among the tide pools and gathered specimens. In the afternoon, she carefully studied them and took notes on her observations. And in the evening, when the tide had gone out again, she returned to each creature with great care, exactly in the spot she had found it, exactly where it belonged. Wow, that is really inspiring and very important to know that all of us, we have an effect on the environment and we should take care of it. I thought we could maybe do a little tracing and cutting today to make our very own tree that we can put up to remind ourselves to take care of our world. Let me show you how to do it. We are going to make a tree by tracing our arm and our hand. It's going to look really cool. So here's an example of one that's finished. You can see that the brown is the trunk and the green is the leaves. So you're gonna start by gluing a rectangle piece of green paper actually right on to a tall brown piece of paper to make your trunk. So go ahead and glue that on. And you wanna make sure when you trace your hand that you're gonna put your hand up here to be the leaves of the tree and put your arm down here. Now you're gonna wanna ask a grown-up to help you trace this. Or you can maybe trace their arm too if you wanna practice tracing. So put your hand up, and so you're gonna go around and carefully go around your fingers and back down. Okay, and so now I'm ready to cut. And you'll see my tree come to life. So I'm gonna cut right here. This is the trunk. Up, 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 up. Cut this side of my trunk. And if you want to, you can use crayons or markers, and you can add some creatures to your tree, like some birds. You could even put some, if you want to put some fruit like apples hanging from your tree, you can do that. And this is really good practice to follow along the lines and to practice your cutting skills. And make sure that you're always holding your hands away from where you're cutting, because you don't want to cut your fingers. And you'll just keep on cutting it and keep on cutting it. And then by the end, you'll have a tree that looks like this, and it will remind you to take care of our earth. Thank you for reading with me about Rachel Carson, a woman who cares a lot about our earth. Every time you look at your tree, remember what she said, that in nature, nothing exists alone, and that we have to take care of our world. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.
Kindergarten is great at Kansas City Public Schools.
I know they have really good teachers. I know this is a great school.
They teach them stuff that I thought my kids would never be able to know at the age of 5.
Since deciding to send our kiddos to a neighborhood school, we've become even more of a part of our community.
Now is the time to enroll your future kindergartner for the new school year. Visit enrollkc.org today.
Good morning, friends, and welcome back. I'm Mrs. Gordon, and I am so glad you are here with me today. We have talked about different things in space, everything from learning our planet names to building rockets, learning different star names. But did you know there's a planet that I think is very special? Do you know what planet you live on? That's right, planet Earth. So today, I want to share a story with you about our special planet, Earth, and also see if we can create one together. So let's read a story together. This book is called Here We Are. Our solar system. Well, hello. Welcome to this planet. We call it Earth. It is the big globe floating in space on which we live. We're glad you found us, as space is very big. There is much to see and do here on Earth. So let's get started with a quick tour. The planet is basically made up of 2 parts: land, sea, also known as rock and dirt or water. Firstly, let's talk about the land. It's what we are standing on right now. We know lots about the land. Then there is the sea, which is full of wonderful things. We know a bit about the sea, but we'll talk some more about it. That once you learn to swim. There is also the sky, though that can get pretty complicated. Okay, moving on. On our planet, there are people. One people is a person. You are a person. You have a body. Our head, our arms, belly, heart, brain for thinking, legs, bones. Look after it, as most bits don't grow back. Talking about biting your nails. The most important things for people to remember are to eat, drink, and stay warm. People come in many shapes, sizes, and colors. We may all look different, act different, and sound different, but don't be fooled, we are all people. There are animals too. They come in even more shapes, sizes, and colors. They can't speak, though that's no reason not to be nice to them. You may not be able to speak yet either, even though your head is filled with questions. Be patient. You'll learn how to use words soon enough. Generally, how it works is that when the sun is out, it is daytime, and we do stuff. The rest of the time is night, when it is dark, save for the moon, and we sleep. Things can sometimes move slowly here on Earth. More often, though, they move quickly, so use your time well. It will be gone before you know it. Though we have come a long way, we haven't quite worked everything out, so there is plenty left for you to do. You'll figure out lots of things out for yourself. Just remember to leave notes for everyone else. It looks big, Earth, but there are a lot of us on here. So be kind. There is enough for everyone. Well, that is planet Earth. Make sure you look after it, as it's all we got. Now, if you need to know anything else, just ask. I won't be far away. And when I'm not around, you can always ask someone else. You're never alone on Earth. Let's see if we can create our Earth together. Like our book talked about, this is planet Earth. Earth is made of land, sea, which is also water, and air. Air is what we breathe. Land, sea, or water, and air. So today, I have a paper plate to represent our Earth. It's round. Our Earth is round, shaped like a sphere. What I like to do is usually outline what our Earth looks like, the land. So I'm just going to outline my land just a little bit so I know where I'm pasting, so I can create my Earth. Next, after you feel like you outlined it, let's get to the fun part. I have blue and green strips of paper. I'm going to use blue to represent the water and then green for land. So first I'm going to tear some little pieces of green paper. It doesn't matter how you tear them or what shape they are. This is your Earth that you are creating. And as I am tearing them, I'm going to glue them down to paste on the land. Remember, the green for me is representing my land. The earth is a very special place. Remember how our book talked about how many people you are here on planet Earth. Are you creating your earth? Are you making it a cool earth? Do you want your land a different color? Even your water to be a different color? As long as you have those things, it is a place where you live. I have my first part of my land. I have a bit more land to fill in. I'm going to put some glue on my plate and then fill in the space. Are you creating your earth this way? If you don't have paper to tear, you can also draw an earth. Whether it's with markers or crayons or colored pencils, you can even paint an earth. That would be cool. Did you know that planet Earth also orbits around the sun? It is actually the third planet away from the sun. That's how we know when it rotates, whether it's day or night. There are many people on our earth that live in different parts of the world. That's why there's so much land. There's also different ways people travel the earth so we can visit different places. Have you ever traveled around the world? Whether by car or by airplane, by train, or sometimes even by boat to cross the water. That's why the earth has a lot of land for us to go to different places to visit. I think I'm almost done with my land. How did yours look? Hey, I'm just gonna fill in some spaces with my blue to represent water. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, you're having fun. Build your earth. As long as you have the main things of land, sea, also known as water, and the air is all around us. Almost looks like a collage. What's a collage? Different pictures or paper that are put together. Have you learned to swim? Have you swum in an ocean before? Or a lake? Or an actual swimming pool? Water can be fun too. That's where also different animals live. Do you know any types of animals that live in the sea? I think a whale lives in the sea, a shark. There's turtles that live in the sea, different fish that live in the sea. All of these are a part of our earth. I'm just going to fill it in just a little bit more here. How's your earth coming along? Have you ever seen an earth on a globe? The globe, have you ever witnessed a globe? Or you might need another telescope so you can go see Earth. How do you see Earth if you're on Earth? That's a very good question. This is planet Earth. I have my land and I have my water and my air is all around me. Did you create planet Earth today? You did such amazing work today creating planet Earth with me. Remember to grab your nearest adult and tell them that Earth is basically made up of land, water, and air. I hope you had fun creating Earth. Go out, meet some new people hopefully, and discover what's all around you. Until next time, I wish you well.
Hello and welcome to Harold Holiday Montessori School. I am Principal Bass Barlow and I have the privilege of leading this fine public Montessori school. Holiday is an association of Montessori International School. As a member school, we adhere to rich Montessori principles and practices. Our teachers are Montessori trained, our assistants have Montessori certifications, and our students have uninterrupted work cycles. In their prepared environments, children have a freedom of choice where they develop order, repetition, and concentration. Here at Holiday, we serve children ages 3 to 12 in grades pre-K through 6th grade.
Welcome to the Children's House. In this environment, we have a mixed age group of children from the ages of 3 to 6. The prepared environment and the adult offer the children opportunities to reach their full potential.
In the Children's House environment, we focus on practical life, sensorial, math, language, and cultural activities. These activities are all developmentally appropriate for our children.
Welcome to Lower Elementary, where we educate students ages 6 through 9.
Here, we foster personal responsibility, independence, collaboration, critical thinking, as well as problem solving.
This is upper elementary, where we serve students grades 4 through 6 or ages 9 through 12. Students build on core values and lessons that they've learned previous years while becoming school leaders.
We partner with the Heartland Chamber of Music to offer String Sprouts. This program teaches our students instrumental music starting at the age of 3.
We work with our community partners to build leadership skills in real-world environments. One example of this is our composting initiative with KC Can Compost.
For visiting Holiday Montessori School. If you'd like more information about our fine Montessori program, please call 816-418-1950 and we'll schedule a one-on-one tour with you. We look forward to sharing with you more about the great things that are happening here at Harold Holiday Montessori School.
Hey Kansas City, here is some amazing dressing, not stuffing, to go with your turkey dinner at Thanksgiving. Enjoy. What about that? Hey Kansas City, it's Chef Tom. And you know, we're doing a couple of shows just on some holiday specials, some favorite things that you can serve at Thanksgiving or Christmas, doesn't really matter. But one of my favorite things is homemade dressing. And here's kind of a funny thing. Homemade dressing and homemade stuffing, the only difference is that stuffing is what you put inside your turkey. We're going to start out with a couple ounces of butter in our nice hot pan. Now obviously we've gone ahead and we did a little bit of prep work ahead of time. We've diced up a lot of our stuff. We've got some celery and some onion here going in our pot first. And right off the bat you can smell how nice that is. Okay? Just gonna let that cook down for a minute or two. This particular stuffing that we're making right now, you can make a day or so ahead of time and put in the cooler and reheat it just before Thanksgiving. But the fact of the matter is, if you have any turkey stock or anything in here, you're gonna need to reheat that to 165 degrees, okay? We're just gonna let this cook up a little. We're gonna bump it up a little in temperature. And we're just gonna cook this until it's translucent, because we've got some other flavors that we're gonna put in here. So as this is cooking, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take some cooked pork sausage. We're gonna cut this up. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people put a lot of different flavors in their stuffing. This is just what I like in my stuffing. You know, yours can be different than this, but this is what I've been accustomed to for many, many years. We're just gonna get this sausage right in our pan with our celery and onion. And yeah, we're exhibiting some knife skills here. Yeah, we're doing a medium fine dice. Making sure our hand is in the claw position. Okay? Making sure that we are cognizant of the blade to the fingers. You never want either one to be too close to the other. We're just gonna give this a little stir. Our celery and onions are doing just fine. So here's the other thing. You can actually also make this just 15 minutes ahead of the meal. Okay? I'm gonna take and drain these apples real quick. And yep, I said apples. I like some apples and some raisins in my dressing. You'll notice that these apples were in some water. So what I did is I went ahead and I squeezed some lemon into the water because that acid of the lemon keeps the apples from turning brown. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna toss in some raisins. I love a few raisins in my stuffing. We're just gonna keep moving this around. Now when it comes to the raisins, you're gonna want to just let this go for a minute or two so that those raisins have a chance to really get hot and soften up, okay? Everything's doing really nice. Now, this process does take 15 to 20 minutes to actually make this stuffing. And a lot of that is sauteing these first primary ingredients. Okay? So we're just taking our time. We're not in a hurry. One thing we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to throw some herbs and spices in here. I like some salt, pepper, thyme, rosemary, and sage. I think sage is real important because that's really one of the base flavors in your dressing. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, the aroma out of this pan is spectacular. Now, I like to put my parsley in right now, along with some fresh sage, because really I don't think you can get enough sage. But I'm going to tell you a funny story. A few years ago, I was trying to come up with a new herb tea for the restaurant. And I had a friend that had some sage, and I decided that I would make a nice herbal sage iced tea for the restaurant. With some organic honey, it would be really delicious. What I didn't realize is that if you eat or drink too much sage at once, it will poison you. So after a quick call to the poison center, I found that out. Needless to say, never too much sage again in my life. Now, in our pan, we are looking amazing. Right now, I'm going to take and put a drop of chicken stock in here. And all we want is a little bit, because we want to make sure that all of our celery and carrot and onion just gets a little touch of boiling action. Come on in, get a look at that. That's exactly what we want. This is boiling so nice right now. In just a minute, we're going to add the rest of our stock to this and let it get hot. But we're going to go ahead and let that cook for just a second, just the way it is. Wow, it smells so good. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add the rest of the stock. And we're just gonna let this get hot. Okay, we're not gonna really boil it. And as that's getting up to temperature, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our 2-inch hotel pan onto the block. We're gonna grab our croutons and put them in. Now, what we did earlier today was we went ahead and took hot dog buns and just cubed them up, and we're using them for stuffing. Because the fact of the matter is, it's what we had around. You don't have to go out and buy any fancy crouton mix. You don't have to go out and buy stuffing mix. Check your freezer for bread. Take it out, thaw it out, dice it up, throw it in the oven with some garlic, some butter, salt, pepper, and you have amazing croutons that you just seasoned yourself for stuffing. I'll tell you what, when we come back, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna mix this up. We'll be right back.
I chose manual because it's challenging and fun, and it can help me with college.
I chose manual because I wanted to get a jump start in my career with culinary arts.
I chose manual to acquire skills I'd use in real life.
I chose manual because I want to be an ER doctor, and being an EMT is my first step.
Kickstart your future today at Manual Career and Technical Center. Manual is open for all 11th and 12th grade students in both Kansas and Missouri. Learn more today at enrollkc.org/manual or call 816-418-5200.
Hey, Kansas City, so if you look at our pot on the stove right now, our liquid is just starting to boil for our dressing. And I keep trying to slip and tell you stuffing. This is dressing because it's going on the side of the bird. And the reason that I personally don't do stuffing is because when you make stuffing, you have to make sure that that stuffing in the bird gets up to 165 degrees. And when you do that, a lot of your exterior meat on the bird, like the breast and stuff, really dries out. Because if you're running the middle to 165, you're running the breasts to a very solid 180, 185. And that's just drying out that meat, okay? Just my 2 seconds on the platform. I don't care to stuff a bird. So, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna take some of this liquid, and we're gonna get it right in our stuffing mix. Look at that. Now, oh my goodness gracious. This is amazing. And here's the funny thing. Now, you're just moving it around in there. Because what you're going to do is you're going to let the croutons go ahead and pick up that nice liquid that you just poured in. You got all your seasoning in here. And you can see these croutons are getting wet quick. You want to get these onions, and celery, and carrots, and raisins all turned in here real nice. Okay? You can see we still got a little bit of liquid running around our pan, and that's fine. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to transfer this into a smaller pan. We're going to give this pan a spray with some vegetable spray. The person washing your pots and pans will thank you for that. Now, we're going to take our time. We're just going to move this over. Okay? Look at that. Our pan is so nice and full. And what we're going to do is when we start this, we're actually going to go ahead and cover this with plastic first and then foil, and we're going to put it into our oven. And before we do that, we're going to clean up a little so that we can go ahead and get this into the oven and out of the oven and ready for you. We'll be right back.
I chose manual because it's challenging and fun and it can help me with college.
I chose manual because I wanted to get a jump start in my career with culinary arts.
I chose manual to acquire skills I'd use in real life.
I chose manual because I want to be an ER doctor and be an EMT is my first step.
Kickstart your future today at Manual Career and Technical Center. Manual is open for all 11th and 12th grade students in both Kansas and Missouri. Learn more today at enrollkc.org/manual or call 816-418-5200.
All right, Kansas City, we have got this dressing ready to get covered up. We're going to cover it and we're going to get it in our oven. So, here's an interesting thing. When I'm working with something like this, I like to cover it with plastic first. And the reason that we're covering it with plastic first is to hold that moisture. Okay? There we go, look at that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our foil and we're going to cover it with that. Okay? Just going to get this on here nice and tight, just like we did the plastic wrap. You don't want the plastic wrap sticking out from under your foil. Okay? And this baby's going to go in the oven. I need you to watch your hands because the bottom of this pan is hot because your liquid is practically boiling. Now that we got that in there, let's go ahead and just take 1 minute. We've got our sanitation towel here. Let's wipe up the station a little. Okay, because we're not going to need this board anymore. Remember, when we sanitize, our sanitizer solution is 200 to 400 parts per million. Okay? Start up here in the corner. Just give this baby a good wipe. You know what? We just sanitized their knife. You can go away. Now, we get to here. See this cord? We want to keep everything clean. Okay? We want to do the best job we can keeping our equipment clean so that it looks new. And that goes for your kitchen as well. Okay, we're going to set this guy over. We're just going to finish wiping the chef station down. There we go, nice and clean. Guess what? Through the magic of TV, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull that stuffing out.
I chose manual because it's challenging and fun and it can help me with college.
I chose manual because I wanted to get a jump start in my career with culinary arts.
I chose manual to acquire skills I'd use in real life.
I chose manual because I want to be an ER doctor and be an EMT is my first step.
Kickstart your future today at Manual Career and Technical Center. Manual is open for all 11th and 12th grade students in both Kansas and Missouri. Learn more today at enrollkc.org/manual or call 816-418-5200.
All right, Kansas City, we've been wrestling with this dressing for a little while now. It's been in the oven. We're about to take it out and have a look and get it on some plates and see what you think. Ooh, is that warm? Kansas City, I don't know if you can see it, but we got a pumpkin pie in that oven that's just about there. So, here we go. Let's get this baby unwrapped. I suggest using a towel, a hot pad holder, okay? This is exceptionally hot. Oh my goodness. You need to see this. This is what stuffing should look like, even if it's dressing and not stuffing. Look at this. That is gorgeous. Now, me personally, I like getting all the plastic off my pan right away because it's harder later to get that off when it's in the dish room, okay? Now, I wish you could smell this because it absolutely smells amazing. We're gonna turn this up just a little in here, see? Oh, look at that. That is the dressing that I'm looking for at my Thanksgiving every single time. I think it looks amazing. There's so many amazing smells in there. You can smell the sage, the onion, the celery. Oofda. There's an old Scandinavian saying for you, oofda. But it looks delicious. Let's get some on a plate. Let's see how we're looking. I tell you what, I think that's beautiful. We'll get a second plate out here real quick. Honest to goodness, Kansas City, that's what your dressing should look like right there. Hey, I really enjoy doing this series for you. And I know that very often we talk about the school here at Manual, and I'm not going to let today go by without doing that. Here at Manual, our students learn to make dishes like this every single day. They learn everything about hygiene, whether it's hygiene for themselves or the kitchen around them. They learn a lot of soft skills about how to speak to people, why it's important to be on time, how to interview for a job. You know what? This is a great school, Kansas City, and if you've got a student that's a sophomore, look into getting them into the program next year as a junior. They can do 2 years here as a junior and a senior, and we'd love to have them. I'm going to tell you what. Coming up, we have competitions where we're going to be baking and we're going to be doing hot food. On the hot food side, we're going to be doing a airline chicken breast with rice pilaf and a green vegetable. But the thing is, when the student starts the competition, they start with a chicken and dry rice. You know, vegetables that aren't cleaned or pared yet. And they need to exhibit their education and their skills to make that into a reality of the airline chicken breast dinner. And then when it comes to the baking, they have to make dinner rolls, they have to make cookies, they have to make some cakes. And so it really, truly is something that teaches them a lifetime skill. Hey, I could go on and on about how great our school is, but Manual Career Technical Center really is a great school. Listen, Kansas City, I would love to have you make this dressing. I would love to have you take a picture of it, send it to me at tvelisle@kcpublicschools.org. I hope you have a great holiday season.
Harold Holiday Montessori fosters a lifelong love of learning for students in pre-K through 6th grade. Holiday is the only free Montessori school in the KC metro area recognized by the Association of Montessori International. At Holiday, children have the freedom to choose their work throughout the day, helping them to become responsible, independent, and self-motivated learners. Find out more or enroll your student at enrollkc.org/holiday.
I am Lincoln Middle.
At Lincoln Middle School, students discover their talents and passions, where teachers plant the seeds of lifelong learning.
I am Lincoln Middle.
Where excellence is nurtured. Students develop the skills to be successful in school, career, and beyond.
Je suis Lincoln Middle.
Lincoln Middle is the public school where your child will thrive and grow. Open a world of possibilities. Apply today. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Lincoln Middle.
I chose manual because it's challenging and fun, and it can help me with college.
I chose manual because I wanted to get a jump start in my career with culinary arts.
I chose manual to acquire skills I'd use in real life.
I chose manual because I want to be an ER doctor, and being an EMT is my first step.
Kickstart your future today at Manual Career and Technical Center. Manual is open for all 11th and 12th grade students in both Kansas and Missouri. Learn more today at enrollkc.org/manual or call 816-418-5200.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists, and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
I love Southeast because of the culture, the band program, and restorative justice.
I love Southeast because of the academics, sports, and students.
I love Southeast because of the people, the energy, and the advanced classes.
It's not alike. I love Southeast because the students here at Southeast are full of potential and they believe in achieving anything.
We are Southeast.
Southeast.
We stand shoulder to shoulder.
Join the Southeast family. Enroll today.